Hello. Welcome to Midlife Musicals, or as I like to call it, Screaming into an Empty Room. So, what am I doing back here? Well, maybe you should listen and then I'll tell you a little more. Check this out. I wanna live to live. I wanna live to love. I wanna live to find a purpose far above. A life of regrets. I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. Not just to stay alive. All right. So, for anybody who knows me or who may remember, that is an excerpt from a musical that I wrote, and then my best friend Mike composed the instrumentation for it, and it's called "The League of the Damned." So we're now sitting at Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. The clip that you just saw went live in July, I think July 17th to be exact, of 2022. So 4 years passed, we put on the show. It was a great experience. And then nothing, nothing. So this is a story of how I want to bring it back. So let me tell you a little bit about why I want to bring it back and what I'm hoping to do. And then I am going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes for anyone who isn't familiar with the musical on what it's about, and then show some of the music itself. So let's start with the why. I originally wrote this musical as a way to grieve my dad. And then the other kind of happy accident with it was a great way to reconnect with my best friend Mike. Mike and I wrote a whole bunch of music in high school. We played for anybody who would listen, even for people who wouldn't listen. And then like it happens often with people as they grow up, it just stopped. We went to university, we met respective people, we had kids, got jobs, and all those things just sort of take precedent as they should. So fast forward to my mid 40s, maybe it was a midlife crisis, maybe it was just the urge coming back, but I really felt the need to start getting the musical out. So Mike was kind enough to collaborate with me on it, and during COVID, we put on 4 productions of this show. The behind the scenes of it was insane, like crazy. And I can't wait to tell you guys more about this as we kind of go and as we actually get viewers. But let me just say that it was nothing that I could have ever predicted. Like the drama, everything that went on, notwithstanding the fact that Mike and I had no sweet clue what we were doing. So, like I said earlier, the show ended, 4 years passed, and what became really clear is that we have something really special here, but it needs some work, it needs some improvement. So we set out very early on, once the show wrapped, to add about a half an hour worth of content to the show. And time passed, didn't do it. So, like my grade 7 teacher, Mrs. Taylor, always used to say, I work better under pressure. So there's nothing like a little bit of pressure, like impending birthday, to add more pressure to it. In less than 3 months, or actually just a little bit over 3 months, I turned 50. And I'm not going to get all midlife crisisy, but I feel like that's a great milestone and a great goal to set to get the show to a place where I want it to get to. So I want to get it from its existing length, which is 52 minutes, to 90 minutes. And in order to do that, I calculate what I need to do is add another 5 songs onto the show. 3 will be like brand new shows, never before seen, and we're going to launch them on this podcast. And then the other 2 are actually going to be top ups to existing material that's already there. And so each number would roughly be about kind of 6 minutes. It'd be a little bit of dialogue, do the math, adds up to 90 minutes, or at least close to it, close enough to it. So this podcast is really meant to keep me honest, even if nobody listens to it. The whole goal is every week I want to publish a song. Every week I want to explain and about the show, scene by scene, song by song. And what I'm going to do is, when it comes to songs that we've already written, I'm going to show the existing performance because I am, even all these years later, absolutely blown away by the people who lent their time, their expertise, their immense talent to bring this to life. So I want to show them doing it. But then when we get to a stage in the script when there's a net new song, well, right now I don't have any actors. So I've decided to use AI, and I have been using an AI program called Suno, which, yeah, don't be hating on Suno. I ultimately want to get actors back to this and get performers performing this live. But just to give people a taste of what it could be, I've written this in Suno, and then I'm bringing it to Mike to then take and add all his genius too. So for now, we're going to give you the Suno version of it, but once someone hears it, the goal is to get humans on it. So I've been talking for a really long time. Let me say one more thing before I tell you what the show is about. And for anybody who's still sticking around, you're probably like, hey, dude, you're just breaking all the rules of podcasting. You've lost me. But maybe enough people are interested in the fact that I was crazy enough to actually do this. And I'm even crazy enough to want to do this again. So those are my people. And those are the ones that I'm hopeful might stick around. So the other goal number two, which hopefully would be achieved by the time my 50th birthday rolls around, is I want to find someone who is willing to produce the show. Now, we're not looking for big checks. We're not looking for big licensing fees. In fact, we're very happy to license the show to whoever wants to put it on for free. It's not a long term thing, it's not a blank check. It is literally just us saying, look, we have this amazing show. We are adding more content to it. It's going to be kick ass. So take a leap of faith and put it on. Maybe you're a community theater. Maybe you're a high school. Maybe you are a budding theatrical enterprise. Whatever it is, if the content resonates with you, if the songs resonate with you, and you feel like you could add more to it, get in touch. We want to put this thing on. We want it to be live. We want it to be something that can grow, and we want it to be something that people can kind of make their own and get their heads around. All right. 7 minutes and 17 seconds in, and I still haven't told you what the damn musical's about. That's okay. Episode ones of podcasts are always pretty shitty. So, all right. So the show is called The League of the Damned. And what it is about, it is about a woman named A who is going through terminal cancer. And having received this diagnosis, she decides that this is the time in her life to do all the things that she was afraid of, too afraid to do, but always wanted to do. But she decides the best way to actually do any of those things is to do them in a group. So she puts out an ad and she puts out a whole bunch of content on social, looking for a whole bunch of people who are in the same boat, have a whole bunch of things they wanted to do with their life, but was too afraid, but they would do them in a group. And so, in a cheeky way, she calls this group the League of the Damned. And the reason why is because may as well live for today since we're all fucked anyways. So this group comes together. And the first few stunts that they do, they're pretty easy. They like jump out of a plane. They eat fried foods because for some people with heart issues, that's actually a big deal. Personally, my family has heart history. That's always been something I've been worried about. They do a polar bear swim, jump in the water in the middle of the winter. They do a whole bunch of pretty innocent things, but for them, it's huge because they've always been too afraid to do it. So, as it happens, each stunt gets them more and more confident. Each stunt gets bolder and bolder until one day they go too far. And in going too far, they break the law, but they also end up saving people. So, are they bucket listers or are they vigilantes? What actually happens? So, there's a choice that they have to make whether they step into who they truly are, whether they retreat and stop doing this, or whether the league itself just kind of fades away. So that is the crux of the story. And while that happens, it deals with very human relationships, the reality of death, the reality of what we kind of go through in life when we're kind of dealing with our own mortality, and just the idea of love, loss, and legacy. So the reason why I wrote this is, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I lost my dad very suddenly to a heart attack about 5 months before we gave birth to our firstborn, Ellie. And so the crazy thing about that is that's the second time that that's happened in my family. My grandfather died before he could meet his grandkids. So 2 generations of my family never got to meet their grandkids. So naturally, that fucked me up. So about a month after my dad died, I remember I was at a party and I was talking with a good friend of mine, and he had recently lost someone very important to him. And he lost that person to heart disease. And so the two of us, realizing that we both have heart disease that runs in our family, kind of started laughing that very uncomfortable laugh. And we said, well, since we're fucked anyway, may as well do whatever we want to do. That moment gave rise to what would become the League of the Damned. So it took a long time. In fact, it took the better part of 10 years to get from that conversation to the stage. But really, it was about 4 years of Mike and I really working on it solidly. The exact time that's passed since we put it on live. So I'm going to play you the number that you saw just now. I'm going to play you the whole number. And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to play you the AI version as well and just talk about some of the things that I would love to do as we start to kind of build this out. So the opening of the show, and I should probably introduce you to the characters of the show, very much on purpose. The names themselves are letters. So we have T, we have O, we have D, we have A, and we have Y, which spells today. Shock of shocks. So the whole idea with giving people letters instead of names is because if we do the show multiple times and if we do multiple productions, I want to do the unthinkable and actually give the creative team full carte blanche to figure out who is actually going to play those roles. Maybe they're male, maybe they're female, maybe they are non-binary. Whatever it is, I don't want to pre-prescribe that. So in the context of this first production, we had kind of decided, okay, great, here's who's going to play T. T will be a male, A will be a female. But when it kind of comes down to it, we want to give those choices and those freedoms. So A is the character who I mentioned who has received the terminal cancer diagnosis. T is a character who has lost his father, possibly autobiographical, probably not, but has really allowed himself to live with fear throughout his life. O and D are characters who are really they help advance the plot by actually playing multiple characters. So you'll see them show up in a lot of different ways, but their own narratives are actually covered throughout the league as well too, and very much brought to the forefront in a number called "You Won't Believe." And then Y is the narrator of the story. And one of the things, a little bit of a spoiler alert with Y, is Y becomes this character that in the first part of the show, all she's doing is narrating other people's stories, telling people other people's stories. And she's doing that because ultimately she's always been withdrawn from letting her own story be told until she gets to a certain situation where she has to. So the first number that I'm going to show you, this is where we first meet Y. This is where Y first tells the story of the league. And this is where, before the league even comes live, we meet our heroes. We meet all the characters that will form this story. So without much further ado, let's roll it back and show you that.
It's not about someone, but it could be about anyone. It didn't happen somewhere. Good evening.
There you go.
How are you? Good
Low
to
budget
see you.
podcast.
Glad you're here. I want to tell you an extraordinary story. It's not a true story, but it's a truth story. It's not about someone, but it could be about anyone. It didn't happen somewhere, but it could have happened anywhere, or any town, let's say. You've been promised hero stories, you'll get heroes indeed. We take a different twist on glory. These are heroes of a different breed. They seem just like everyone, and and everyone they are. These heroes' greatest battle armor is their battle scars. This is a story of anyone in any town, so hear me out and gather around for the greatest stories we can give. For anyone in any town, for anyone who's been knocked right down, living or afraid to live. So gather round, curtains up in our heroes.
Hey year, it's been a strange year. I've learned a lot about what I got growing inside. I've got strict instructions. If I don't rest, I'll fail the test. But I can't run and hide all my life. I followed rules, but those rules are ending my games faster. And now I'm left feeling a fool. And my reward is getting cancer. So what's the answer? I wanna live to live. I wanna live to love. I wanna live to find a purpose far above the boring and mundane. I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. Me tea.
I'm T. The thing about me is that my family have some who die young. One sec, they're meet and greeting, then their heart stops beating and no one knows why. How do you plan all of those tomorrows when you don't know they're coming or not? Can you love happy and not in sorrow if you might die by giving everything you've got? I wanna live to live, I wanna live to love, I wanna live to find a purpose far above. Our lives I'm holding back, I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I played ball for a Division I team. Life was good if you know what I mean. Then one day, it all changed. I crashed my car and my life and fate got totally rearranged.
The day I was born was the day my mom died, and it left me with something missing inside. I always lived like I could die. I'm done with that. I want to try. I wanna live to live. I wanna live to love. I wanna live to find a purpose far above. A life of regret. I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. Not just to stay alive.
Oh man, you know, it's good to see us, and it's good to show it to you guys. Those performances were amazing. So playing the role of Y is Nuga Usman. Playing the role of T or A, who was the first person to sing, very, very talented Millie Boone, who is currently just crushing it on the high seas in the Disney cruise ships. The role of T, who was the second singer, was Rich Kwong. And then the role of D, I was confused the two of those. I just wrote the damn show, but that was Mike Alexander. And Mike actually stepped into the role 2 weeks before curtains. The reason we'll tell you a little bit further downstream, but he had 2 weeks to learn the whole show. The rest of the group, we actually had rehearsed for 5 months. So Mike stepped into that role and just crushed it. And then our final performer in that number was Sophie Dean, who is absolutely incredible. Oldest Soul, when we auditioned Sophie, I'd mentioned I was a big Styx fan, and I'm used to getting like absolutely mercilessly made fun of for that. And she was a Styx fan too, and is a Styx fan. So you might say it was an instant connection. I think we cast her pretty much on the spot after that. So that song did a lot to really set the stage for why people there are there and their backstories. In the newest kind of incarnation of it, there's not a lot I would change about that song. I really loved it. I loved everything about it. I absolutely loved the composition that Mike created for it. I think like my original inspiration for this song was actually a Tears for Fears song. And when I gave this to Mike, he started kind of riffing a little bit and like the that one was very different from what I was originally thinking, but it just worked so incredibly well. And it also created this interesting kind of celebratory vibe, even though the song itself was setting the stage for fear. And it was just talking about fear and where that came from and why people had all that. So I love that. Now, when I think ahead to like what this could look like in a performance, and let's just dream for a sec. I think this is going to be published as audio, but you can watch it on YouTube as well. So if you see the video, I want you to see like kind of like the original vision of what this could possibly look like. And this is like, you know, big and grand and like, oh my God, imagine if it was Broadway. But here's the thing, you never know. And I have spent way too much of my life self-editing, and I'm done with that. So wherever this goes, whether it's a high school, whether it's like a 100-seat studio theater, or yes, even if it's a theater like this, I don't want to edit my own goals for this before anybody else has the chance to. So I wanted to kind of dream a little using Gemini and see what this could possibly be and possibly look like. So in the spirit of dreaming, I wanted to also show you and play for you where I thought the song could go using Suno. So I am just going to share Suno for a sec, and I will play this for you. And as you'll see, it's actually not that different. Here we go, and you can see the lyrics.
Good evening. How are you? Good to see you. Glad you're here. I want to tell you an extraordinary story. It's not a true story, but it's a truth story. It's not about someone, but it could be about anyone. It didn't happen somewhere, but it could have happened anywhere. Or any town, let's say. You've been promised hero stories. You'll get heroes indeed. We take a different twist on glory. These are heroes of a different breed. They seem just like everyone, and everyone they are. These heroes' greatest battle armor is their battle scars. This is a story of anyone in any town. So hear me out and gather around the greatest stories we can give. For anyone in any town, for anyone who's been knocked down, the living who are afraid to live. So gather round, curtains up on our heroes. They're here. It's been a strange year. I've learned a lot about what I got growing inside. I've got strict instructions. If I don't rest, I'll fail the test, but I can't run and hide. All my life, I followed rules, but those rules are ending my game faster. And now I'm left feeling a fool, and my reward is getting cancer. So what's the answer? I wanna live to live. I wanna live to love. I wanna live to find a purpose far above the boring and mundane. I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to
plenty. The thing about me is that my family have some who die young. One sec, they're me and greeting, then their heart stops beating and no one knows why. How do you plan all of those tomorrows when you don't know they're coming or not? Can you laugh happy and not in sorrow if you might die by giving everything you've got? I wanna live to live, I wanna live to love, I wanna live to find a purpose far above a life I'm holding back. I wanna live to thrive, I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I played ball for a Division I team. Life was good if you know what I mean. Then one day, it all changed. I crashed my car and my life and face have been totally rearranged. The day I was born was the day my mom died, and it left me with something missing inside. I always live like I could die. I'm done with that. I wanna try. I wanna live to live. I wanna live to love. I wanna live to find a purpose far above a life of all regrets. I wanna live to thrive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. I wanna live to live, not just to stay alive. Not just to stay alive.
Now, there is absolutely no substitute for the live performers. They were like, they kicked ass. And the thing is, too, is like when we cast them, the thing that we had asked for was big voices, big hearts, and just the willingness to just try a lot of new things. And they brought that, and they brought these amazing stacked harmonies, like fucking incredibly complex, beautiful stacked harmonies. So when I'm playing the Suno version, the only reason why I'm even tinkering that is because it's kind of my nature and I want to see what else is possible. I think the only thing that I would want to do differently, and I don't even know if Mike agrees with this, is like in the Suno version at the end, when Sophie's like the character that was played by Sophie, when she sings, I want to try, that was big. That was huge. And then at the end of the number, when you hear those stacked harmonies again, the power of that, man, when I think about what that could sound like with real performers, I think it could just be absolutely sensational. So, 28 minutes in, assuming I had anybody listening to this in the first place, hopefully you're still here. Here's the deal. Every week we're going to publish one of these. Every week I'm going to play the next song in order. Now, if you like what you're hearing and you want to subscribe, please do hit the subscribe button. The other thing you'll notice too is I will provide the link to the full show. So if you want to actually watch the full show, we recorded it. Now, it doesn't have any of the new music in it, but what it will have is it will have all the original performance, all the original songs. And then as we start to publish stuff, I'll also make the links to that available as well too. So you will start to be able to piece together the whole show. And then my hope is that over time, if there's interest, then we can actually start creating this. And then eventually you'll be able to see it. So for now, I'm going to close out by saying thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for supporting independent theater, because there is a lot of it. And unfortunately, there's not as many places for it to go these days. And so I hope this just creates more opportunity for that. All right, 2916, I'm out. Bye.